and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to give you a quick overview of this bill tracker and bill calendar template for Google Sheets. If you want to watch it to get inspired and build your own, you can totally do that. If you're interested in purchasing the template, it's available on my Etsy shop. I will leave the link in the description down below. So let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the monthly bill tracker sheet and you're going to start writing down every single one of your monthly bills. So let's say I pay the rent on the 15th of each month. So I'm going to set as a default due date 15. It's my rent. A default budget of 1,000. And then I'm going to check this box if this bill is set as a recurring charge on any of my payment methods. This is just for your own reference. So as you can see, dates formed automatically every single month. So you have January 15, February 15, March 15, and then you also have the weekday because I think it's easier to see it that way. So I'm going to fill it out a bit more and then I'm going to continue. So once I filled that out, I want to show you something special about the date. So if you set 31 as a default due date and then do a random bill. So as you know, not all months have 31 days. So what's going to happen is that days will be formed with the very last available date. So January 31 has 31 days, so that was fine. But then February, since it doesn't have 31 days, the default due date was set as February 28. So if you want to set the date to the very last day of the month, of each month, you can just set 31 and it's going to be smart enough to know which months actually have 31 days and which don't. So once you filled your default information, you're going to go month by month, filling out the amount due and the date paid. So once you actually know the amount due for each month, you're going to set it in this column right here. Now, as soon as you actually pay the bill, you're going to double click in any of these date paid cells and a calendar is going to show up. So you're going to select the date in which you actually paid that bill. So as soon as you add the date paid, this bill is going to count towards this total right here. So I have 1,000 right now. And if I add a date paid to this water bill, now it's 1,011. So this amount is only going to count towards the amount paid once you add a date paid. Now, if you scroll all the way to the right, you're going to see accumulated totals for the entire year. So you're going to see the accumulated totals for budget and the accumulated total for amount due. The amount due is not going to consider if the bill is paid or not. It's just going to add up all the amounts that are in the amount due column for each month. So now we're going to move on to the annual bill tracker. So right here, you're going to add any bill that you won't be paying monthly. So you're going to add the bill, the budget, and then the due date. So same thing. Once you know the actual amount due, you're going to set it right here. And once you actually pay the bill, you're going to double click, select the date from the calendar, and it's going to count towards this amount paid total right here. So I'm going to add a few more. Now, if you have something that you paid twice a year, you're going to set those dates right here separately. So let's say I paid my gym twice a year. So that's gym payment 1 and gym payment 2. That's $200. And I pay that in January and then in June again. So you can use this section for bills that are paid yearly, quarterly, whatever you want, anything that's not monthly. And then right here you have room for notes. So now we're going to move on to the calendar. So what the calendar does is it's going to pull bills from the monthly bill tracker and the annual bill tracker. And it's going to show them right here in this calendar view. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. Now, as you can see right now, as I'm recording this video, it's April 6, 2022. So the date is going to set itself automatically right here. You can select any month and it's going to update automatically. But right now I'm going to select April. If I select April, I'm going to see every single bill in this calendar view in its corresponding default due date. Any annual payment is going to show up with these two symbols right here at the beginning. So as you can see, you have water on the 1st, gas on the 5th. So we move here. Let's go to April and we have water on the 1st and then gas on the 5th. And then if you go to the annual bill tracker, you're going to see that the rent renewal fee is in the 15th. Rent renewal fee, April 15. And then the rent is actually also on April 15. So you have rent and rent renewal fee. So you can go ahead and select any month that you want and you're going to be able to see your bills very easily in this calendar view. Now the current day is going to highlight like this. And finally, we move on to the dashboard. So the first thing you're going to see right here is this month's pending payments. So if you go to the monthly bill tracker, you're gonna see that I haven't paid any of these bills, and they are all showing up here. Any bill that is overdue is gonna highlight in red. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pay every single one of my bills. So I'm gonna set the amount due, the actual amount due. So as you can see, adding the amount due does nothing because a bill is only gonna count as paid once you add a date paid. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add the date paid to every single one of these bills. So now, if I go back to the dashboard, I don't have any pending payments. This next section is pretty much the same thing, but for the annual bill tracker. So as you can see, I have these 3 bills for April. One of them is paid, and I haven't paid the retirement plan and the rent renewal fee. So if you go back, you can see the retirement plan and the rent renewal fee. So if I go back and I set them as paid, they're no longer going to show up here. So these 2 sections are going to update automatically using today's date, which also updates automatically. So then in this next section, what you have is pretty much the same thing that you have right here. It's the totals for budget and amount due. The only difference is that it's going to sort them by the highest amount due to the lowest amount due. And then up here you will see the totals, which are exactly the same as the totals right up here. Then this section is just going to show the totals for the annual bills spreadsheet. So you're going to see the total for budget and the total for amount paid. So here's the total for budget and here's the total for amount paid. Now remember that this amount due will only count towards the amount paid when there's a date paid assigned to it. So if I remove this date paid, those $50 are no longer counting towards this amount paid. And then you see that right here. And then you can compare the budget and the amount paid in this little graph right here. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see the monthly bill totals. So this is going to show basically everything that you're going to find up here. So you're going to get your budget total for January and your amount paid for January. You're going to get that right here, budget and amount paid. And then same thing, amount dues are only going to count towards the amount paid when they have a date assigned to it. So if I remove all dates, and that's going to show up right here. And then you also have a graph in which you can compare the budget and the amount paid for each month. And now the very last part is this little section right here that's going to show you totals, monthly totals for any of the bills that you select from this list. So as you can see, this list was formed automatically, taking the bills that I input right here on the monthly bill tracker. So I'm going to select, for example, gas. As you can see, I have the budget, amount due, and date paid for each month. So if I go to January, I'm going to see an amount due of 19. Same thing as February, but the February one has also a date paid. So January, that's 19, no date paid. Then February, 19, and it has a date paid. So if I add a date paid to January, then it's going to show up here. And again, same thing, you're going to have this little graph right here that's going to let you compare your budget and your amount due monthly for this bill that you selected right here. Now, an important thing to note is that these default values are automated. They are formed using the default values you enter right here, but they don't have to stay that way. If you want, you can change them. For example, if I want my budget in January for some reason to be higher than the rest of the months, we can just manually change it. And now the background of this cell is now going to be colored white. So gray background means it's automated. White background means it was manually entered. And then if you want to automate it again, you can just copy any other cell in that column that's still automated and paste it right here, and it's automated again. Same thing goes for the date. You can just double click, select the date, change it to whatever you want, and then the cell is going to be colored in this white background. I will leave the link to the template down below, and if you have any questions, you can just message me on Etsy.